Hi, I'm Brigham Larson with Brigham Larson Pianos. This piano I'm going to show you, I just barely finished a complete, very thorough, extensive refurbishing. It's a 1995, which isn't terribly old, and it frankly wasn't in that bad condition when I got it. But nonetheless, I've got very high standards of what I want to stand behind, what I want to put on my floor. And so I put this piano through very rigorous refurbishing. Everything from the cosmetics all the way down to the piano itself. So I'll start with cosmetics, and then I'll talk about the piano itself, the instrument, and then I'll play it for you. So what I've done on this piano cosmetically, I had a fantastic local guy totally go over it, and he redid the finish into satin. I personally love the satin look, and he did an absolutely awesome job. So like 98% of I would say that the finish on this piano is 98% perfect. There were some scratches, that's why I say 98, not 100. Some scratches that were maybe a little bit too deep, but they're very minor and frankly hard to find. So cosmetically, this piano is nearly perfect. Then also all metal hardware like this. Take a shot of the pedals. Pedals down here and this brass hardware. I took everything off. Of course, any pedals that are older than 5 or 10 years, they start to tarnish like silver candlesticks or something. So I took these off. These are brass pedals, and buffed them, and this hardware in here. Also, all this hardware, like the hinges back here, and then all of that hardware, so it looks really nice. And then of course I did a very thorough cleaning, which is partly cosmetic and partly functional for the endurance of the piano. Okay, I'll show you the inside, everything that has been done. Take it apart. So almost 20 years, I guess the piano's 19 years old, which again in piano years is not too terribly old. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention to cosmetics. I took all of these keys off. Any piano, again, within a year or 2 or 5, they start to get little scratches on the keys from, I don't know, fingernails or wedding rings or kids playing, like they're not supposed to. So I took all the keys and buffed them all, got all of that, any scratching out. So these keys are in perfect condition. Mention that. Okay. So 19 years old for a piano is not too terribly old. I work on pianos on a regular basis that are way older, and they're still great. But kind of as a general rule, what I put as the point at which I say a piano really stops performing at its very peak, I would say about 30 years. And there's a lot of fudge in there, but a lot of factors involved. But about 30 years, pianos really start to need to be refurbished or overhauled. And again, like I said, this piano didn't need all that much when I got to it, but one thing that I did, everything of course in a piano pivots on pins. So for example, like this hammer, there's a pin that goes through at that pivot point, so it pivots that way. Every single one of these, all 88 of these hammer pivot points, these are called hammer flanges. I put new pins in there so that the amount of friction essentially is what it's supposed to be. It was a little bit too loose when I got it for my liking, so I put new pins in there, tighten it up, so now there's no side-to-side wobble on these hammers. They just go straight up and down because those pins are a little tighter. Also, hammers, after a few years of wear, they start to get cuts in them where they hit the string again and again. And so you can reshape hammers 3 times, maybe 4 times, depending on how often you do it, so that it returns the hammer to a nice teardrop shape rather than flattened at the top where those strings cut into them. So I reshaped these, And then I also voice these hammers. My personal preference on voicing is a little bit on the kind of halfway, slightly on the dark side of you know, dark and very, very bright. I don't particularly care for bright and tinny, pingy. And then of course I did a full regulation. So regulation, there's built-in adjustments in this piano. There's a very broad range of what will function, but very narrow range of what will function correctly. And once again, I would give a piano 5 or 10 years before it starts to kind of get out of that, what I would consider correct regulation. So I took care of that 100%. Retail, that's a $700–800 process to fully regulate a piano, something that ought to be done every 5, 10, maybe 20 years if you really push it. But that's totally done on this piano. What else? There was a string that I took care of course, brought it up to pitch and tuned it. I took care of any issues that were in the pedals, the trap work, so all of that is taken care of. Any bushing issues. So the piano is just absolutely in as good condition. I would even contend that this piano is in better condition now after everything that I've done to it than it was when it's brand new. Even, you know, 19 years old, after everything I've done, it's fantastic. Okay, let's listen to it. That is just a nice tone. I hope that comes through on the video. So what I hear here in person is fullness and richness, and like I was talking about a minute ago, a little bit warmer side, a little darker than halfway. I don't think in my voicing I lost the upper end. A lot of times when you voice it down, you can lose some of that upper end, and I kept that upper end nice and still very present and alive. It's easy to overdo the voicing on the top end, I think. That is a fantastic piano. I am so pleased with how this turned out. I stand behind this piano as a technician 100%. I fully endorse it. I'm very proud of it. Thanks for watching.